Morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday, the 10th day of June 2025. I hope you're all doing well today, safe and healthy. Hope your family is safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with first responders that are doing their best to save people's lives, and those that pick up garbage to keep places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children that are victims of child molestation and pedophilia. People that are also victims of pornography, child pornography, prostitution, child prostitution, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts that create the demands that cause these evil industries to exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, military veterans, homeless in the United States of America. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. So, today I want to discuss Precious Achiewa. My understanding of Precious Achiewa started when he went to Memphis, University of Memphis, and I liked him there. And I liked him coming out of Memphis. As I mentioned, there were two players that year that I liked coming out of college that were very similar, Precious Achiewa and Isaiah Stewart. Two different schools. One was in Washington State, other one was in Memphis, Tennessee, and very similar, 6'8", 225, roughnecks, rebounders, defenders. Solid players. Neither of them were going to be superstars, but both of them were going to have, in my views, very solid NBA careers. Very solid in terms of ability, in terms I mentioned the rebounding and defense, but also availability in terms of being able to be solid, be able to be available, stay healthy, all of that. Strong young men. So I thought both of them were good. And Isaiah Stewart has had a nice career in Detroit, whereas Precious, and this goes to show how careers can be affected. So Precious got drafted by the Miami Heat. He gets drafted by Miami, 20th pick overall, first round, 2020 draft. And I thought that was a good spot for him. Good system, good culture, some place where he could really develop. And I think he would have. And he was developing nicely there. But then Kyle Lowry wanted to go to Miami. Having won a championship in Toronto, he wanted a big contract, and he wanted a contract with another contender. So Miami was trying to open yet another championship window for them. They open championship windows often, and in that system. And that's what happens when you're a long-term sustainable winner. So they went and got Kyle Lowry, but you can't get none without giving up something. So Precious was part of the deal that went back to Toronto to make the salaries work. So he gets to Toronto. And again, he's in a nice system. He's in a nice culture in Toronto. He's there with OG Anunoby. He's there with Pascal Siakam. And they formed a nice tandem. And I think, again, he was developing in that very nicely, in that system and in that culture of that organization. But then came the Knicks looking for OG Anunoby, who also wanted out of Toronto. And so Emmanuel Quickley and R.J. Barrett were sent to Toronto in exchange for OG Anunoby and Precious Achiewa. So when Precious came to the Knicks, in his first, it was really a half season more or less that he was with the Knicks. That trade happened about mid-season that year. And there was a lot of injuries, starting with, we know Juju got hurt that year. And then, of course, later, OG hurt his elbow. He had chips in his elbow. And then later, his hamstring. So there was a lot of opportunity for Precious. And Precious played a lot of minutes that year. Multiple games over 40 minutes. Multiple games over 30 minutes. And over the course of the time that he played 30 minutes or more, he averaged about 12 points and 10 boards. And he had several games where he had more than 15 rebounds in a game. And I noticed and again, I was already high on him, but when I noticed from that season was that the more consistent minutes he got, the better consistently he played. There are players like that. So he did. He filled in well. And I was at a game where they were playing the Orlando Magic, and the Knicks only really had 6 players that they could play that game without injury. And he played Paolo Banchero head up that game. And Banchero is one of the best talents to come out of college in a while in the league. And I thought then, and I think now, he's future not only All NBA player but possible MVP candidate that they got there in Orlando, and Paolo Banchero. So he played Banchero head up, and it was battle, mano a mano. I was there, and he played really good against Banchero. And so it basically justified everything I thought about him. Like I said, I never thought he was going to be a superstar, but I thought he was going to be a really good defender, above average rebounder. And, eventually, as he continued to develop his game, particularly his corner 3-point shot, he was going to be very valuable to a championship level team, which I still feel the same way. So then, first it started like this. He pulls his hamstring last year and misses 21 games. Unfortunately, in the Tom Thibodeau situation, that could really cost you, okay? Because Tom Thibodeau used the first part of the season to establish his rotation. You're out 21 games. That means you're not playing, which means you're not in the rotation. So when he comes back, his minutes are spotty. Precious is not a player that you can play spotty minutes to and expect to get the maximum effect from his talent. He needs consistent minutes that he got last year, but of course that wasn't going to happen this year. So the hamstring injury that cost him the 21 games basically threw his whole season off. Okay, basically threw his whole season off. So I'm going to discount this past season because of that. Now, he's on a 1-year, $6 million deal right now. It's 50-50. He can easily be signed with another team. He's going to be unrestricted free agent. So he could be signed with the highest bidder this summer. And so he could very well be gone. It is my personal desire that the Knicks keep him. Now, they may not. Like I said, I don't want to hear from all y'all if he gets signed. Oh, your boy signed. I don't want to hear it. Okay? If he signs with somebody else, good for him. But I'd like the Knicks to keep him. And a lot of things contingent on that is 2 things. How will the new coach, if it's Jason Kidd, how will Jason Kidd look at Precious Achiewa? It is obvious that Thibodeau didn't see room in his rotation to give Achiewa consistent minutes. And I respect that. As I said, that's Thibodeau's desire. And whatever Jason Kidd decides, that's also, I respect that as well. So if Jason Kidd looks at Precious Achiewa and sees a piece that he can use in his rotation and get consistent minutes, that is a strong thing in favor of him staying with the Knicks. If not, or if it's questionable, or if he's not sure, Precious will sign with whoever's offering him the most money, okay, as he should. So he's a guy, like I said, when he came on board with the Knicks, I was seeing Charles Oakley 2.0, which is what I saw with him and Beef Stew. I see it with both of them. Guys that can play power forward, guys that can play the 5 as a backup role, though they're undersized. Height-wise, strength-wise, they can play both positions. Guys that can guard at least 4 positions on the floor. Both of those guys can guard at least 4 positions on the floor. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Ones even, depending on who the one is. But they're very good defenders. And so I'm always high on guys that are solid on the defensive end of the floor, that can rebound and play good basketball. Again, Precious, to me, what he's missing is, like mentioned, consistent minutes and confidence. And confidence is related to consistent minutes. When a player knows he's going to play, he gets comfortable and more confident, especially an NBA level player like Precious Achiewa. Okay. Plus, he mentioned last year when the Mets were in the playoffs, they were talking about the Yankees a lot. And they said, oh, you're from the Bronx. Do you like the Yankees? And he said, no, I went to school in the Bronx. I'm from Queens and I like the Mets. How could you not like a guy like that? So that's Precious. So I'm hoping he could stay. Obviously, I feel like he would be of benefit in the Knicks rotation coming off the bench. What I also like about him, just like Beef Stew, you don't lose anything by starting him. Okay, you can start him if you need to. If somebody's hurt, you got a really good, solid piece to come in and play the role. And again, I'm expecting, if it's Jason Kidd, and in my view, I see Jason Kidd as the leading candidate to be the next head coach of the Knicks. And by the way, there are unfortunately a lot of gossipers in Knicks Nation. People that are coming and say stuff like, well, it's already established. You know, the Knicks are not getting permission to talk to either Udoka or Kidd. When that has not been established and nobody has ever said that, and your sources are BS sources. And then they come on my channel with it. Don't do that. That's gossip. Try not to gossip because it looks bad on you. So anyway, I feel like, given the situation in Dallas, that there's a very good chance. We'll put it this way. As I said in yesterday's video, if Dallas gives the Knicks permission to discuss the head coaching job in New York with Jason Kidd, it's a slam dunk. He's going to be the next coach. It only depends on if Dallas gives permission. And I feel like, given how Dallas organization has been run since Jalen Brunson was there to now, which is horrible, and your head coach wants to leave, and that would be a thing. So in other words, they would have a problem, but it would be a bad look on them to try to hold a coach that don't want to stay. I mean, I wouldn't want the Knicks to do that. If a coach did not want to stay here, let him go. And in fact, that's been the Don's policy with players too. If you don't want to be here, you can leave. Okay? And I like that. So if Jason Kidd expresses interest in the New York Knicks head coaching job, Dallas is going to get permission for him to speak to the Knicks. And once that happens, it's done. He's going to be the Knicks head coach. If he's the Knicks head coach, I would like to see, it's going to be interesting. I don't know how he would feel about Precious. Precious, to me, would fit a Jason Kidd system. So I don't know. But there's the money aspect. So it's also the business aspect. But in terms of a player, yes. I feel like a second unit with him and Mitch Rob and Deuce, head in that second unit, and then you add a Hart in there with either Shamet or DeLon Wright, you got a good situation there. I feel like that's a strong bench right there in terms of defense, in terms of rebounding, which to me, as I've been stressing, which a lot of y'all don't get the memo and don't understand, defense and rebounding coming off the bench are just as not more important than scoring coming off the bench. You could have scorers that are mixing with the best unit, and you could still get scores. The Knicks already showed that this season. But if you can get some stops and you can get some big rebounds, which Precious is very capable of getting, you want that also coming off your bench, particularly in the 82-game marathon plus the playoffs. You want that, okay? So I feel like they're going to be deeper, the Knicks, this year, and there is a space for Precious if a coach thinks he can see in a space for Precious. And so that's up to the coach, but we'll find out. Again, I hope for Precious, whatever happens, he gets in the spot. And there are teams where he can come in and play that have cap space that can sign him to a reasonable contract. He's not looking for a $100 million contract. He's not going to get that. But he can certainly get somebody's full mid-level exception over a 4-year contract. So if something like that is available to him and he can get rotation minutes on the team, and even better if he can get rotation minutes on a good team, that's even better. It's like with Obi Toppin, Obi Toppin being traded to Indiana. Many people still don't get it because they too busy drunk. But the Don did Obi a favor, sending him to Indiana. Obi was going to be the starting power forward in Indiana, but then Indiana had the opportunity to get All-NBA Pascal Siakam. That's why Obi's coming off the bench. But he's playing very well for a team that's in the finals. He's in the rotation coming off the bench for them. And he's won games for them coming off the bench. Okay, so that was a good situation. I would like to see Precious, if he's not with the Knicks, get into a similar situation where he's on a team that's on the uptick. He's a rotation piece, and you get to see him in his fullness as far as what his talents can bring to the table. And that's what we're seeing with Obi right now. See, so that's what I'm hoping. So can the Knicks keep Precious? We'll have to see. I don't know. He can play in the NBA. That's the first question I would ask. Can this player play in the NBA on a consistent level. Not everybody can. NBA is the top league in the world. These are the best players in the world. As I mentioned, I get people mentioning people like Kevin McCullough, and I don't think he's an NBA player. I wish him the best, but I don't think he's an NBA player. There's some players that I feel are not NBA level players. Okay, they can play really good in college, but NBA is a whole different thing. And especially if you're coming out of college as an older player, like Chris Duarte comes out older. He's good for about 2 seasons, and that's his peak. And you ain't heard from him since. Okay, he's still in the league. He's good enough to be in the league, but there's no more upside there. And that's the danger when you have an older guy. Precious is 25, and he still has upside. He's going to be 26 in September, and he still can get better. That's the exciting thing about him. And what I mean by that is he can still develop a corner jump shot. He can still improve at the free throw line. He just needs confidence and minutes. See, some guys, because of their age, when they come out and their skill set, are just limited, in terms of what they can do in the league because their upside is limited. Josh Hart, for example. Josh Hart came at the end of the first round. Josh Hart also, I think he was a 4-year player at Villanova. But Josh Hart brings a motor and a rebounding ability that is on an elite level, especially at 6'4". Okay? We've seen him get 15 rebounds, 18 rebounds in a game. We've seen him make hustle plays that win games. That's his talent. Okay? That's his talent. Not everybody could do that. McCullough, I don't see that. I don't see it. Okay, I see Josh Hart light. Okay, which may not be good enough. So Precious, though, talent-wise, is an NBA player. And again, he's not in his prime yet. He still has upside. So somebody is going to get the realization, the development of this guy. I hope he gets a chance. He just needs to stay healthy. It was really a fluke that he missed 21 games. That hamstring thing must have been bad. I saw the play against Washington in preseason where he hurt the hamstring, but 21 games is a big missed part of the season. So hopefully he stays healthy this year and gets an opportunity to show what he could do. Like I said, there's room for him in the rotation, especially a 10-man rotation. There's room for him in that scenario. It would just give the Knicks serious depth, which would be good. And people have multiple people come to me and say, we need to add bench piece for depth. No, we don't. We just need to keep Precious. Precious, Deuce, Shamet, Wright. Just need to keep them. That's it. We don't need nobody new. There's no green pastures on the other side we need to go get, especially when all of these guys are in the financial wheelhouse that we can afford. That's why we keep what we got. Yes, I'm rooting for Precious. He's one of my guys. I'm rooting for him. I hope he makes it. Whatever he does, whether it's with the Knicks or somebody else, I'm rooting for him. We should be getting some news on Knicks coaching every day. Today is Tuesday. I'm thinking by Friday we get some more definitive word on at least who are they talking to as far as negotiating. Like I said, to me, it's very straightforward. If Dallas grants the Knicks permission to talk to Kidd, which I really see them being able to do, given their current situation, Kidd's going to be the next coach, period. I can see Houston not allowing Udoka, and the reason I can see that is because Udoka won't push to come to New York. That's the difference. Udoka is in a very good situation in Houston. They just finished second in the Western Conference. They got some beautiful looking young players, Sangoon and Green and, Tari Easton. They got some really nice young pieces to go with some established vets like Dylan Brooks. They are really on the come up. If you're a coach, you want to be a part of that. What does Dallas have? Well, they got Kyrie Irving, who outside of LeBron hasn't won anything. They got Anthony Davis, who outside of LeBron in the bubble hasn't won anything and is always hurt. And then you got the promise of Cooper Flag, which is going to need 3 to 5 years to develop. If I'm a coach and I can choose, okay, Eastern Conference Finals, New York Knicks with a full roster, including Karl Anthony Towns, All-NBA, and Jalen Brunson, All-NBA. Or Dallas, that's basically in a semi-rebuild. What am I doing? So Udoka's situation is different. So Houston might say to him, listen, man, we really want you here. And he ain't going to fight that. Dallas could say that to Jason Kidd, and he could say, listen, I understand, but it's New York. I want to go. And they won't stop him. Okay? That's what I'm saying to you. So what the compensation would be, some of y'all starting to get all trippy like you using acid or something on some of your compensation, mentioning Kyrie Irving. Some of y'all need to stop looking at idiots on Twitter because it's affecting you negatively. Anyway, y'all enjoy your Tuesday. Let's see how this thing develops during the course of the week. So